Yeah, let's talk about organization. In the next 12 minutes, we'll go at a very fast pace into the future of organization. To get you started, think about these questions. The obvious one, how is your company organized? What are each of the teams and business units accountable for? How does that structure help you deliver the best products to your customers? Or where does it create some maybe unnecessary bureaucracy? This triangle we know as the management hierarchy. Organizing people in layers and boxes is how we've been used for the last 100 to 150 years to organize ourselves. It was invented somewhere at the start of the Industrial Revolution. And since that time, we've built our whole welfare state on the success of businesses with managers. So we should be grateful for its invention. But today, it doesn't work anymore. And here are 3 reasons why. Reason 1, our businesses are not adaptive enough to deal with today's rate of change. Here on the left, you see the first computer in 1900. It was called the analytical engine. Here on the right, in 1990, the household Pentium PC. That's an incredible boost of computing power in just 90 years. But in 1990, we didn't have Google. We didn't have cloud. We didn't have robotics. We didn't have bionic copters, as you heard in the previous talk. We now have today. This amount of innovation that happened in 90 years, today, happens every single hour. How do you deal with that rate of change in an organization? By the time you finish the first quarter, your business plan, your strategy, is probably outdated. By the time you try to finish a reorganization, you probably already need a new one. Reason 2, we're talented, but we're not really using it. We're an incredibly talented, skilled, motivated, experienced workforce. But if you read employee surveys, somehow we're disengaged. We're not activated at the work we do in our organizations. Why does working in an organization feel so mediocre? Why is it so difficult to manage smart people? Why can't we just be engaged at the work we do in organizations? And then reason 3, when the management hierarchy was invented, information flowed at the speed of Morse code. Today, every single second, we send 2.5 million emails. We push 40,000 gigabytes of traffic across the internet in a single second. When there's that much information, how can you meaningfully process it through a linear hierarchy of managers? So these 3 forces bring us at the start of a paradigm shift. The shift from the management hierarchy to the self-organizing operating system. Let's look at each of those 2 components. An operating system, you know this one. Think about what the operating system on your phone can do versus the Windows 95 on that Pentium PC. It's incredible, right? The intuitiveness of the user interface, the speed it gives, enables you to do great stuff. An operating system for an organization makes it easier for you to structure work, to make decisions together, and just get work done. Self-organization, again, you're used to this, but not in organizations. In the communities we live, we're used to organize ourselves. We take care of our houses in good order. We go through the city when we want to. We get our kids to school when they have to. We're typically responsible people and feel accountable for our own stuff. With self-organization, authority to act is truly distributed. In a city, in the place I live, there's no grand master plan in how I run my house or what I do on a daily basis. Or here at Schiphol Plaza, there's no plan on how a shop owner should operate its shop. That's self-organized. Self-organization in an organization means that we all agree to follow the basic set of rules and principles we agree to adhere to. That's the basis of self-organization. Self-organization is not new. It's been pioneered since the 80s by companies like Morningstar, Semco, and here locally BSO. Each of those organizations created a unique business model, a unique way of working that replaced their management hierarchy. What today will create the real breakthrough is that we get standard operating models, just like you have a standard operating system on your phone. Currently, Holacracy is the most advanced operating system out there. And we have phones. So what does it do, that operating system? Why does it create a breakthrough? It creates a breakthrough because it's a complete and trusted alternative to the management hierarchy. The good news is hundreds of organizations have adopted Holacracy already. They're doing this in real life. And the even better news is the Netherlands is leading in this transition. Somehow, self-organization is natural to us. Look at some of the examples you might know here from the Netherlands. So let's go into some of the differences there are when you organize traditionally versus in a self-organized way. Compare it to learning to play a new game, the game of organization. Imagine an American football player changing to European soccer. Think about what the rules of those games do to the speed of the game, the way players interact, or the way points are made. To illustrate that with self-organization, let's look at 4 of the big differences. First, have you checked your job description lately? What you can do? How does your job description define what you do on a daily basis? Do you even know where it is? Typically, it doesn't matter much, because at the end of the day, your manager defines what you do on a daily basis, or what you don't do. We're used to organize people by putting them in a single team or a single business unit with a single job description. Under Holacracy, you organize work, not people. Each of us would fill about a dozen separate roles. Those roles are defined by a concrete set of accountabilities, like you see here for a web architect. Those accountabilities define where your authority lies, which decisions you can make. Secondly, why is the way the CEO and HR have designed the organization different from the way you typically do your work in reality? And potentially, again, different from the way you would ideally do your work from a customer's perspective. We're kind of used to that we need reorganizations to kind of fit this together again. But why? Why do we need reorganizations? They're typically ineffective and painful. Under Holacracy, your governance becomes agile. You iterate your governance structure continuously. Those governance changes are done by the people who do the actual work, not out of some kind of corporate headquarters. With this speed of iterative governance changes, you give ownership of not only doing the work, but also on defining how to do the work without losing alignment. This is how far self-organization goes. That you give that ownership to people to think about, to agree on how to organize the work, to do governance. These micro-reorganizations are easy to do. And because it's iterative, they're also easy to adjust and improve again in the next governance iteration, probably just a few weeks later. How much do you know about what your colleagues are doing in your organization? Do you have transparency of the work that goes on one level up or one level down in your organization? That's hard, right? It's hard to know what your organization is actually doing. Under Holacracy, the default is transparency. At any moment in time, you can go online into a tool and check what each of those roles are accountable for, what projects they're working on, what metrics they report on. And you can see as well what the agreements are that we made on how we make decisions and how we run our meetings effectively. That's how far transparency can go. Finally, let's look at direction and getting work done. Your organization probably has a strategy. How does that strategy influence how you do your work? Does it influence what you do on a daily or a weekly basis? And we have a lot of management terminology to kind of work on that. Budgets, milestones, deadlines, management team meetings, steering committee meetings, budget cycles, approval cycles, special initiatives, you name it. Each organization has many of those tools. But they create a lot of bureaucracy. They make it hard to adapt to new emerging opportunities. Under holacracy, you act exactly the opposite way. Today's reality cannot be planned. If you want to be responsive in today's world, you have to be grounded in reality. You want to be able to steer continuously, to act as soon as new information comes in. Alignment with holacracy is created around purpose. The purpose of your organization is cascaded throughout the organization to every individual role. So you can see, you know how your role contributes to the organization's purpose. So let's wrap up. If you believe there's something out there, that there is an alternative way to organize without managers, something that is much more natural to deliver products to your customers, something that boosts innovation, something that releases a lot of new entrepreneurial power within your organization, then you want to explore. So what can you do? Observe what works and doesn't work in your organization. Observe where you feel engaged, and maybe not so much. Question the status quo. Question the way meetings are run. Question the way decisions are made. Question the way your governance is defined. And experiment. Experiment with playing this new game. This is not about designing the ideal solution up front. Neither is it about learning a game from reading its rulebook. You learn a new game with practice. Lots of practice. And as this might be the new golden age for the Dutch people. Self-organization fits us. There's lots of pioneering to do, like we did in the golden ages, to pioneer, to experiment with different ways of working. So I hope you join that journey to figure out what the future of organization looks like. Thank you.
Thank you, Koen.